Grelithfor was not a world, was a prison covered in dust and fire. The skies were always gray. The sun never shined through the clouds. Wind carried red sand that burned skin. There were no trees, no rivers, no birds. Only machines, guards, and endless holes in the ground. Humans lived there, not as people, but as slaves. They worked 18 hours a day in the deep mining pits, digging for yellow or the Kruan Empire used in their warships. The ore was heavy, the air was poison, the food was cold and dry, and the guards, they never blinked. Kruan were tall, green-skinned, creatures with yellow eyes and forearms. Their voices were sharp, their hands were cruel, and they laughed every time a human fell in the dirt. They're so soft. One Kruan commander hissed, watching from a high platform. Earth made them weak, we made them useful. Below, a thin man carried a heavy drill. His back was bent, his hands were bleeding. His name was Marcus Hale. He didn't speak much. No one did. Talking was dangerous. The guards had ears everywhere. Cameras watched every angle. Even silence was punished sometimes. One scream could bring electric whips. One tear could bring death. And yet, something was different that day. A worker named Leanne Rowe was missing. She was always quiet, always fast, and never caused trouble. But now her bed was empty. Her tools were left on the ground. Her number didn't show up on the digital wall. She ran. Someone whispered, "Impossible." Another replied, "Nobody runs. It's nowhere to go." The guards noticed too. 10 black-armored Kruan soldiers stormed into the camp. They broke down doors. They scanned the area. They dragged 2 workers into the sand for questioning. Nobody spoke. Nobody wanted to be next. But deep underground, in the pit-marked sector 7, something even stranger happened. Marcus was digging in silence when his drill struck metal, but not the ore. A hollow sound echoed through the rock. Not natural. He froze. Then, slowly, he brushed away the dust. Beneath the rock was a door, small, old, hidden. He looked around. No guards. No cameras nearby. He tapped the door. It clicked. It opened. Behind it was a tunnel, dark and narrow. A warm breeze touched his face. The air smelled clean. He felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Marcus stared into the black for a long second. Then he closed the door, said nothing. That night the camp was quiet. The sky turned purple. A storm rumbled far away. Marcus sat on the edge of his sleeping slab, thinking. Had Leanne found that tunnel? Had she gone inside? No one had ever escaped Grelithfor. Not in 40 years. Was it a trap? Was it real? Then he saw it. On the wall of the metal bunk beside him, carved deep into the steel with a sharp tool. One word. Enough. No name, no message. Just that word. But it said everything. The next morning, the guards were louder than usual. One of the ore transport lines had been cut. A storage unit had exploded. Sabotage, they shouted. All humans were ordered to kneel in the red sand. One by one, they were scanned. Some were beaten, some were shocked, but still no answers. One guard slammed his boot into Marcus's shoulder. "Speak, biped." Marcus looked up. His mouth was bleeding. His eyes were tired. But behind that pain, something new had grown. "Steel? I saw nothing," he said. But inside his mind, something whispered, "Leanne was here. She found a way. We're not finished." That night, 3 more workers disappeared. And deep underground, in tunnels long hidden, someone lit a single lamp. Earth was waking up, and it was angry. The Kruan guards were nervous. They didn't say it out loud, but everyone could feel it. Their footsteps were faster, their orders louder. Their eyes moved constantly, scanning corners, watching shadows. Grelithfor, once quiet and controlled, was now filled with silence that felt wrong. 3 more human workers had vanished. No alarms, no sounds, no signs of struggle. Just gone. Sector 7 was sealed off. Drones flew over the mining pits. Church teams were sent into the tunnels. The guards shouted louder, hit harder, but nothing stopped the fear from growing. Commander Tyrex, one of the senior Karuan officers, stood in the control tower. His yellow eyes narrowed as he watched the footage from the night before. Camera 7. Static. Camera 12. Blank screen. Camera 16. A shadow moved. But too fast, Glitch, his officer suggested. No, Tyreek growled. That was real. He slammed a clawed fist on the console. Send the hunters. Deep underground where the cameras didn't reach, Marcus Hale crouched beside a warm vent. He was not alone anymore. 5 others had joined him, men and women, all with eyes wide open and blood on their clothes. They didn't speak much, only nodded. Their movements were quiet, careful, trained. They had found what Leonro had found. The old tunnels, these weren't part of the mine. They were older, human-made, with old Earth markings and broken tech, hidden rooms, storage vaults, even weapons. Real ones? Old rifles, EMP grenades, blade tools. Some still worked. Someone had planned this years ago. Someone had buried the escape beneath the chains. Marcus held a tiny screen in his hand. It had one message flashing on loop. Operation Ember sleeps here. He didn't know what Ember was. But he knew this Earth hadn't forgotten them. And now, they would. Remind the galaxy why that was a mistake. Up above, the hunters arrived. 10 Karuan elites, trained in tracking and killing, dropped into the main shaft with thermal gear and pulse weapons. Their armor was sharp and black. Their leader, Rakan, had hunted across 10 systems. He had killed rebels, pirates, and even other Karun. "This will be easy," he said, loading his weapon. "These are just humans. They moved into the deep tunnels." At first, nothing. Just old lights, dust, and heat. Then they found a camera. Human-made, new wiring, active. Someone was watching them. Then came the first sound, a beep. Too late, the lights went out. A grenade rolled from the darkness. Flash, screams. 3 hunters were gone in seconds. The rest opened fire into the dark. No targets, only silence. Then, from the side tunnel, a human attacked. Masked. Fast. A blade pierced one hunter's neck. Another was dragged backward into the dark. They never came out. "Pull back," Rakan shouted. But their exit tunnel had collapsed. Blocked. A voice echoed through the tunnel. Soft, calm. "Female, you turned our world into chains. Now we turn your fear into fuel. Run." Rakan fired wildly. No one replied. He was the only one left now. And then it wasn't. At sunrise, the mining camp's main alarm sounded. The commander stormed out of the tower. "What now?" One of the guards ran up, shaking. "We found something. It's carved into the storage room wall. What is it?" The guard handed him a datapad with a picture. It showed 5 letters. Scratched deep into the metal, Ember the commander froze. He had heard that name once, years ago. A Terran black file. Denied by the Dominion. Buried by history. A human project. A ghost. He looked out at the pit, now strangely quiet. Humans. Still worked, still carried tools, still sweated in the red sand. But they didn't look afraid anymore. They looked ready. The silence was gone now. Grelith 4 buzzed with alarms, orders, and fear. Searchlights swept across the mining pits. Drones circled like vultures. Every worker was scanned twice a day. Every door was locked twice as hard. But it didn't matter. Humans were no longer hiding. They were fighting back. In the command tower, Commander Tyreek slammed his claws on the control table. 7 dead hunters. No bodies. No data. Just disappeared. His officer nodded. "We found shredded armor, broken rifles, and this." He placed a metal plate on the desk. Tyreek leaned in. A message was burned into the surface. "This is for Leanne," Tyreek hissed, his eyes glowing. "Kill one of them. Publicly. Make them afraid again. The officer paused. Which one? Tyrex pointed at the screen. Marcus Hale. Marcus stood in the yard when the guards came for him. They didn't speak. They grabbed him, dragged him through the sand. Other workers watched but said nothing. The fear was back. For a moment, Marcus was thrown to the platform. Cameras turned. On the Karuan elite stood beside a glowing blade. Any last words, biped? The commander shouted. Marcus looked up. Blood on his lip, sand in his eyes, and still he smiled. Yes, he said softly. Check your transport hangar. The commander blinked. What? Loud boom echoed through the base. Then another. Then the sirens screamed. The hangar, the most protected part of the base, was in flames 12 hours earlier. Under Sector 9, a team of resistance fighters, 6 humans trained in silence, crawled through old ducts toward the hangar. They moved like shadows. Leon Rowe led them. Alive, angry. We don't need to destroy the Empire today, she whispered. We just need to show them we can. They planted explosives on fuel lines, engines, and com towers. Then they vanished into the dark again. No one saw them. No one ever would. Back in the courtyard, the guards looked up as fire lit the sky. Ships exploded in midair. Drone towers fell. Fuel depot collapsed in seconds. The crowd of human workers began to rise. Someone shouted for Leanne. Another shouted for Earth. The guards fired into the crowd. But the crowd didn't run. They charged. And behind them, human resistance fighters stepped into the open wearing scavenged armor, holding alien rifles, aiming with deadly calm. The courtyard became a war zone. Marcus kicked his guard to the ground and grabbed his blade. Commander Tyrex tried to run. Marcus caught him at the steps. The two stared at each other. Tyrex was taller, stronger, faster. But Marcus had something. The Karoon forgot existed. Purpose. He didn't swing in anger. He struck with training. To clean hits, Tyrex collapsed. The chains of Grelith Fort began to break. Elsewhere in deep orbit, a single black ship uncloaked near Grelith Fort. No symbols. No name. Inside, a Terran AI activated its primary file. EMBERO1. Retaliation Protocol. A soft female voice echoed in the empty ship. Human signal confirmed. Grelith Fort has risen. Protocol unlocked. In the outer colonies, the message traveled fast, faster than light. A coded pulse hidden in old mining signals. A phrase older than the war, we rise. On 4 other planets, human workers paused. They looked up and they knew. The time had come. Back on Grelith, for Marcus stood on the broken platform, blood dripping from his hand. Leanne walked up beside him. It started, she said. He nodded. And far behind them from the mountains, a bright blue beacon lit the sky. For the first time in decades, it spoke to the stars. Earth has returned. The message spread faster than any weapon. Not through warships or armies, but through whispers, signals, and memory. Across slave camps and prison worlds, across lost colonies and hidden bunkers, one word echoed like thunder. Ember, it wasn't just a code. It was a promise, a warning, and a beginning. United Terran Archive Deep Core Files 7 centuries ago. When Earth was crushed under alien control, the world's leaders made one final plan. They knew they couldn't win through strength, so they chose time. They called it the Ember Doctrine. Not to attack first, not to strike blindly, but to burn low, till the moment came to rise. To become smoke, flame, fire. To become unstoppable. Now, Grelith Fort, the planet had changed. The chains were gone. The guards were dead or captured. Human fighters walked through the mine like soldiers returning home. Their weapons were alien, their armor stolen, but their purpose, cure. Marcus Hale and Leanne Rowe stood near the landing platform. Above them, the stars blinked softly. But they were not alone. Ships were coming, big ones, silent ones, human-made. And yet, different. Dark hulls, no windows, No broadcast signals. Only a single emblem on each ship. A flame. Is it really them? Marcus asked. Leanne nodded. Terran Command, real ones. It's the ones who disappeared. No one believed they existed. They made sure of that. As they spoke, one ship landed with a soft hum. Its ramp opened slowly. A single woman stepped out. Black armor, bare head. Sharp eyes, older than Leanne, younger than Marcus. Name? She asked plainly. Marcus Hale, he said, unsure. The woman nodded. You held the line. That's all that matters. Are we free now? She smiled, but it wasn't warm. No, she said. You're part of something larger now. Rim Kurawan War Council panic had reached them. 2 more slave planets had gone silent. Entire battalions of elite hunters. Missing. Fuel routes. Disrupted civilian colonies. Abandoned. The word Ember had reached their systems too. Counselor Vark stared at a blinking red alert. This is Earth's doing. They were supposed to be extinct. Another growled. They tricked us. Hid from us. They played dead, Vark whispered, his claws shaking. And we walked. Right into the fire. Back on Graleith for the Terran commander gathered the rebels in the old hangar. More ships landed behind her. Drones dropped supplies. Human soldiers disembarked with clean gear and sharp eyes. They looked like ghosts from another time. She spoke clearly to the group. Some of you thought Earth forgot you. We didn't. Some of you thought help would never come. It did. We waited because we had to. If we rose too early, we'd be crushed. If we rose too late, we'd lose everything. Her voice softened, but we never stopped preparing. Leanne stepped forward. What happens now? The commander's face hardened. Now, we stop hiding. On a secret moon, Ember Command, a hidden war room, came alive. Dozens of Terran officers stood around a glowing table. Holograms showed maps of the Karun Empire. Red dots marked fuel stations, shipyards, and power relays. Phase 2. Someone asked, proved. Another replied. Single word lit up in the center of the table. Reclamation End Scene Galactic Broadcast. Across every known network, across every species and station, a hijacked message played. The screen showed a black flame, then a human voice, calm, unapologetic. To those who enslaved us, we are not your workers anymore. To those who ignored us, we are not your burden. To those who thought Earth was finished, you were only seeing smoke. Now comes the fire. We are Terran Ember, and we remember. The message ended, but the stars would not forget. The Karun homeworld Jarak Prime had never known fear. Cities were built from black glass and blood steel. Its towers touched the clouds. Its leaders ruled over 500 slave worlds. From orbit, Jarak looked like a shining empire, strong, cold, untouchable. But now it trembled. In the council tower, Supreme Warlord Drax stared at dozens of red screens. Reports scrolled fast. Too fast. Fuel depots destroyed. Communication blackouts. Slave uprisings on Delta 3. Skarn, Vorith. Kairin, interference. Confirmed entire fleets ... gone. A younger officer whispered, they're everywhere. Drax slammed his fist down. Humans cannot fight like this. They are dirt-born, weak, untrained. Another officer turned pale. Sir, we underestimated them. They've studied us. Then erased them. Drax roared. But the war had already reached their doorstep. Low orbit above Zarak Prime, from the blackness of space, a single Terran fleet appeared. No bright engines, no transmissions, only silence. 27 ships, sleek, cold, silent as death. Each one carried thousands of Earth's finest soldiers trained in secret. Born for this moment, they called themselves the Ember Guard. At the center of the fleet was the command ship Vigil. Ava Monroe stood at its helm. Her voice was calm as she stared at the glowing planet below. The Karun taught us pain. How we teach them memory? In the skies of Shirak, Karuan defense towers activated. Missiles flew upward, but none reached their target. The Terran fleet moved like smoke, shifting positions mid-flight, jamming systems, disabling satellites. Before the first wave could reach them, the Karuan defenses were already blind. The sky turned black, not from clouds, it's from human drop pods. Thousands falling like raindrops of fire. On the surface in the capital city, sirens howled, a tear. Guns turned upward. Civilians screamed. Karuan elites shouted orders. But it was too late. The Ember Guard hit the ground fast and hard. They didn't waste bullets. They didn't shout commands. They moved like ghosts. No mercy, no fear. Purpose. They disabled weapon cores, took over command stations, jammed every Karuan signal. The city fell not in weeks, not in days, in hours. Inside the council tower, Supreme Warlord Drax grabbed his blade. I will face them myself. The door opened before he could move. K-Human stepped in, alone, calm. It was Marcus Hale. No helmet, no gun, just quiet fury in his eyes. Drax snarled. You think this changes anything? Marcus stepped forward slowly. It changes everything. You're still just a slave. Marcus raised a small device in his hand. A projector turned on. It showed a live feed. Dozens of Karuan slave camps. All empty, all burning their chains. You ruled with fear, Marcus said. Now live in it. Drax roared and charged. Marcus didn't flinch. One move, one strike. Drax fell. Moments later, planet-wide broadcast, all screens on Shirak lit up. A calm voice spoke in every language. The Karuan Empire is finished. From this day forward, no species will be owned. The fire has come, and it will not stop. Across the galaxy, slaves dropped their tools. Some cried. Some screamed. Others stood still, staring at the stars. They were free. Back in orbit on board the Vigil, Ava Monroe watched Jerricane shrink on the screen. It was over, or so it seemed. Cider, a younger soldier, asked, "What now?" Ava didn't smile. She didn't relax. She simply answered, "Now we." Find the others who watched and said nothing. The Karuan Empire had fallen. Its armies were crushed. Its leaders captured or dead. The great cities of Jarek Prime stood silent, not from destruction, but from surrender. The Terran Ember Guard did not stay long. They didn't raise flags. They didn't claim land. They left behind only a message carved in the steel gates. Of the palace, never again. But the fire was not finished, 'cause the real judgment had just begun. The silent ones on hundreds of worlds across the stars. Governments watched the fall of Karu. They had known about the slavery. They had traded with the masters. They had looked away while humans bled in mines and factories. Now Earth turned to them. And knocked on their doors. Planet Quero 7 Trade Council Hall. The Quero's chancellor stood in front of his advisors, trembling. "The humans are here," he said. Outside the hall, 2 Terran ships hovered above the capital. They sent no threats, no demands. Only a broadcast. You stood by while we were chained. Your silence made you part of it. Now you will choose. Help rebuild. Or stand alone. The choice Earth did not want revenge. But it did want justice. World by world, the Terrans offered 2 paths. Join the Reclamation Pact, a new alliance to protect all species from slavery, control, or domination, or be left behind. Some planets agreed immediately. Others hesitated. One world. Beleri Prime refused. They said humans were dangerous, unforgiving, unstable. The next day, their entire defense grid shut down without a single shot fired. The day after that, Beleri surrendered not from war, but from fear. The Ember Memorial on Grelith 4, where it all began. The humans built nothing grand. No palace, no monument of power. Just a field of broken chains. and in the center a single stone. It read, "For those who were taken, for those who were forgotten, we did not forget you." 1 year later, the skies over Earth were full of ships again, but not of war. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered in a new station floating above the planet, a place of law, of peace, of warning. Ava Monroe stood at the podium. "This is not about power," she said. "It's about memory. For too long, humanity was stepped on, used, mocked, abused." She paused. "And we remember every name, every scream, every chain." The hall was silent. Then she added, "We do not rise to rule. We rise to stop this from happening again to anyone." Final scene, a distant world on a small farming planet far from the war zones. A child sat under the stars with his grandfather. "Is it true?" the boy asked. "The humans used to be slaves." The old man nodded slowly. "They were," he said. "The galaxy laughed at them." The boy looked up at the stars, and now the old man smiled. "No one laughs anymore." In the sky above, a dark Terran ship passed in silence, a single flame glowing on its hull. It did not stop. It didn't need to. Everyone knew what it meant. The fire was watching. The galaxy would never forget. And Earth would never fall again.